what's up? Jack here with DevSlopes.com. Welcome back to DevSOCOM, or DevSlopes Southern Command. It's easy for me to say. Continuing on with our API course. So in the last video, we added a route and functionality to be able to create data or add it to the database. So we're in our controller file here, and the thing you need to understand about an API is there's an acronym called CRUD. And CRUD just stands for create, read, update, and delete. So we've got the create part down. So our V1 restaurant add here is our create piece of the puzzle. And now we need to do read, update, and delete. So this lesson we're going to focus on the read part. Now these next three videos are going to be fairly short because we've got the big part of the work done. All we've got to do is update our controller here to handle those other methods. So in the same controller file, we're just going to skip down and add another block in here. So again, for this one, this is going to be the read part of it, and it's going to be the path is going to be /v1/restaurant/ and that's going to get us the list of all restaurants. Okay, so it's fairly straightforward. It's similar to how we handled the one above. So we're just going to do API dot. Now, the one up here is a post verb. This is going to be a get because we're not posting anything to the server. We're just going to get information. And we're just going to specify the /. So that's going to get us to v1/restaurant/. And that's all of the URL path component that we need. And then we're going to have a request and a response, and I'm going to be sure not to get these backwards this time. And we need a fat arrow function here. Alright, so to get all restaurants, all we've got to do is just say restaurant.find, and then in parentheses we're just going to put a pair of empty curly braces. And what that's telling Mongoose is go through and find. And with this being empty, it's going to get everything. It's going to match it all. If we put something in between those curly braces, then it would return something, a specific thing. But we're going to get back either an error or a restaurant. And we'll have another fat arrow function here. And then once we get it back, we need to check and see if we got an error or not, just like we did before. And if we did get an error, we're just going to, in the response object, we're going to send it back. So the client would actually get that back in the response if there's an error. If there's not an error, and actually I'm going to call this up here restaurants, plural, because we're retrieving all restaurants. So if we don't get the error, we're going to say restaurants. Actually, we're going to say res.json. So we're going to send the response in JSON, and we're going to send back the restaurants. Plural. I'm going to close these off with semicolons here. And that's pretty much all there is to it. When we do this, we're going to get back every restaurant that's in the database. So if we save this and we come over here, alright, let's go ahead and pull up Postman again. And I've still got our post request here. Let's create a new tab. And this is going to be a get method. We're going to put in our URL. And all we do is just end it with restaurant there. And now we don't need a header, a body, or anything. All we've got to do is just go to this URL and hit send. And you see we get back a response you see we get back this response that just has one restaurant in it. Now, a cool thing is you can also do this in a browser. You can pull up a new browser tab here. And if you do that, you see we get back our JSON object here. It's got the ID, the name, and the version here. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Now then, let's go ahead and go back to our post method here. And I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more post requests. So restaurant saved successfully. And I'm going to add one more. And save successfully. And now if I pull up RoboMongo and refresh our database and open our documents back up, you see here we've got 3 things in here now. It's exactly what we should have. If we come back to our GET request and send it again, now we've got 3 objects in here. Now how do we retrieve one specific object? Well, let's do that next. So we're going to go back to our controller, and we need to add another GET method here. And this one's going to be /v1/restaurant/ID. And this is going to be read also, but it's going to be read1. And you'll notice here the ID after this URL has a colon there. That signifies to Express and Mongoose that this is an ID. It's going to be a variable that we're going to pass in. So we can go ahead and fill out our method here. We'll just say API.get. And here we're going to pass in the slash and then colon ID. And then it goes along like normal. We're going to have a request and a response here in a fat arrow function. Alright, and then where it gets a little bit different is instead of doing restaurant.find, we're going to say restaurant.findById. Okay, so this is a method, and what we've got to pass in here is we got to pass in the request.params.id. And then we'll put a colon, and we've got another fat arrow function here with either an error object or one restaurant. Alright, and we need to check if we've got an error again. If we do, we're going to send it back. And then otherwise, we're going to do response.json, and then we're going to send back restaurant right here. And then add our semicolons here. So that's all we've got to do. This rec.params.id here, this colon ID here tells Express that this is a parameter. This ID is a parameter. And so it substitutes this value right here for rec.params.id. So if we save that, and then we pull up Postman. Now here is our list of restaurants. And these IDs are automatically generated. But if I just copy one out, you don't need the quotes. If I copy one out, and then we create a new tab here. And then all we've got to do is put a slash after restaurant and then append that object ID. When we hit send here, we get back a response with just that one restaurant. We could come over here and we could get the ID for Fluffy Knuckles. And we could paste that in here. Send, and now we get back Fluffy Knuckles Barbecue. I don't know about you, but this is pretty cool. Node and Express and Mongoose make it extremely easy to build a very robust API. So now we've got the create part down, we've got the read part down. Let's go ahead and move on to the next video, and we'll look at update. And then following that, we'll look at delete. And then once we get the CRUD operations down, we'll go ahead and refactor a little bit and make our API something that's a little bit more useful than just having a restaurant name. So anyway, go ahead and follow me on over to the next video, and we'll keep rolling.